Test, test. Hello there. I'm just waiting for the stream to catch up. Yeah, I'm live. Okay, that's nice. Just give me a sec, guys, and I will be with you. Make sure I can actually see the chat. That would be good. That would be good. In fact, which is the best way to see the chat? Apparently not this way. I know what I'm going to do. Hang on. I'm just fiddling with my windows. Okay, that's better. Now then. As and when you join me, let me know in the chat that you can hear me and stuff. That would be really super helpful. Thank you. I'm just doing a little bit of setting up here. So today I have mainly been driving around the countryside. Done 250 miles today, which is always fun in one day. But I didn't want to let the day go without having a little chat to you about Deadpool and Wolverine. Wolverine and Deadpool. Because before I went to bed last night, I was still mulling it over, having seen it on Thursday night. And it was one of those films where there was so much to process that I know I enjoyed it because I was just like laughing out loud a lot of the time. So spoilers. So this, if you haven't seen it, this is going to talk about it. So you're going to have to come back later if you haven't watched it. Okay, cool. All right. So the thing that amused me about it is that you have to be quite old, I think, to really appreciate just how deep they went with this film in terms of all of the sort of backstory that lives in this film. I mean, I had kept myself spoiler free, and my thanks to the Cosmic Council and the watchers of the Cosmic Council for not spoiling me on Wednesday night, because they must have been so tempted. So I've got to thank them for their restraint, because there are loads of people I did not expect to see in that film. And so the next day, when I got home quite late, it was about like 11 o'clock at night by the time I actually got home. And the weird thing for me was thinking about the sheer number of DVDs that I have in my collection that film referenced, either sort of directly or sort of in passing. So I've got a small pile down to my left here, and I thought it would be kind of interesting to look through them, and the only one that I think I'm missing is Fantastic Four, because I've seen the films, but they always fell quite flat for me. Notwithstanding Jessica Alba being in them, they still fell quite flat for me. I don't know quite what it was. It felt to me like they weren't quite taking themselves seriously. I don't know if they were trying to sort of ramp the humour up, but they were, of course, pre-Marvel Cinematic Universe, even though they were sort of ostensibly Marvel films. I think it was one of those weird quirks where there'd been maybe Fantastic Four attempts before, so somebody else ended up owning Fantastic Four. I'm not quite sure exactly what the crack was there. And obviously we've had a Fantastic Four film since as well. But I'm thinking here of the Chris Evans, Jessica Alba sort of, timeline of Fantastic Four films. In fact, I'm not even sure I've actually sat and watched Rise of the Silver Surfer all the way through. I think maybe I've just seen bits of it. Maybe I should give them another chance. I don't know. So I'd be interested to hear what other people think about that as a concept. But I've got a pile here, and I'm just going to kind of look at them and let me know in the chat what you think of them. But literally the first one that just sort of came to mind, hand here actually, was Wolverine. So that's Hugh Jackman on his own, effectively, give or take, as the Wolverine. So that's, I've got to get these timelines straight in my head, haven't I? This is sort of, I don't think it is pre-X-Men, but it's him without the X-Men, basically. But I don't think there were actually any characters from the Wolverine in Deadpool and Wolverine. I don't think there were. Can't immediately think of any. Can anyone else think of any? But I don't think there are any. Next up, we've got X-Men Apocalypse. Now again, more recent film, but I can't immediately think again. Oh, I tell a lie actually. Her name's gone now. Psylocke, I think, is in Deadpool and Wolverine. So I think that has got an active link to Deadpool and Wolverine. I don't think any of the other characters were in there though. No, I don't think so. Okay, so I'm doing quite well, sort of. I've got one definite link, one sort of Wolverine link. Now then. So Hugh Jackman, Days of Future Past. Now, I'm trying to think. I've got to think about my timelines here again. I'm thinking X-Men First Class is more relevant. There are more people from X-Men First Class in Deadpool and Wolverine than I think are in this one. So X-Men Days of Future Past. I can't think of anyone immediately from this one that is in Deadpool and Wolverine. Can you? I can't see. Is anyone in the chat? I can't actually see. I mean, there are 6 watching, but I can't see anybody commenting in the chat at all. Let me just refresh my page. Oh, okay. That's fine. I'll just keep chatting. Absolutely fine. So, now then. Now see, this is how old I am. See, I've got these from when they first came out. These are DVDs. See? These are DVDs. So, original X-Men. Now, obviously we've got Sabretooth. That's a callback because it's this version of Sabretooth that's in Deadpool Wolverine. But I'm trying to think now who else from the original X-Men film is actually in there. I can't immediately think of anyone else, you know. I can't immediately think of anyone else. Anyone else think of anyone else from this one? No? It's interesting because there's a lot of callbacks, but I can't. Oh, Toad is in this one, isn't he? So Toad is, and Pyro. Yeah, Pyro's probably a class student in this one, because he doesn't really come into his own until this one, X-Men 2. So again, this is original X-Men DVD, and this introduces a wider range of students, and I think that oh god, what's she called now? Is it X13? The lady who's got the Toad Pyro. Thank you, Mark. The lady with the 5 thin claws is in this one, and I think she does briefly appear in the fight sequences in Deadpool Wolverine. So she's definitely in. So I'm covering my bases in terms of the early beginnings here. And of course I've got Deadpool 2 representing there, because no Cable, but we do of course get Peter is in this, as is Shatterstar. So we've got those guys are in, and of course Deadpool wearing a little bit of X-Men yellow in that one as well as a trainee. So that's quite cool. And then Negasonic Teenage Warhead as well, of course, and what's her name? Her girlfriend, whose name won't quite come to me, but they're all in there, so that works. Now, X-Men First Class is interesting because who was I thinking of? Yeah, is it Mephisto? Mark says the bar. What are you thinking of there, Mark? The bar. As in the bar scene? So we've got Charles, we've got Magneto. We haven't got the noisy guy. We've definitely got Mephisto. I can't think of if any of the other mutants from the sort of the evil mutants from X-Men First Class are in there. So we definitely didn't get the Magneto appearance that we might perhaps have hoped for, and there was no Xavier in there either, of course, for reasons which should be obvious. The bar from the original film. Oh, okay. So you're thinking of when he recruits Wolverine, are you? That's an interesting catch, yeah? Good catch, if that's what you're thinking of, yeah? So was Wolverine sat at that bar? Is that what you're thinking of? Because, I mean, there were loads and loads of scenery bits. I mean, there were sort of Avengers flags and Avengers Tower bits and stuff, weren't there? And just in dead 20th Century Fox logos and things like that. So that was well played as well. Yeah. So we've got Pyro again in here. X-Men The Last Stand. We've got Juggernaut as well in here. Because no Beast, no Mystique, no Rogue. Colossus, yes. But a different Colossus, of course. But again, Colossus was more sort of just like a background character in this. He wasn't really in it. Oh, the bar from the original film where he meets Rogue. Right, okay, good grief. Wow. Yeah, that's a great callback. Well done. Damn, yeah, another one you mean. Where he's having the cage fights, yeah? Yeah. And then, of course, we've got Logan, which is obviously a fairly significant element of this film. And there seems to be I saw someone else's video on this, and I couldn't quite wrap my head around it either, in that we initially see Deadpool chatting to the chauffeur guy, who's Happy, is it? Whose name's escaped me. But how Deadpool then gets from that Earth to his Earth, as featured in the rest of the movie, and his Earth being apparently dependent on this Logan, that I didn't quite follow. So was that due to his time hopping in general, or was that something else? That seemed a bit odd to me. X-Men Dark Phoenix. I'm not very familiar with this one. I think I've only watched it once, but I do have it in my collection because it's X-Men. Though it's in my superhero collection, but I don't really know if that's particularly relevant to this film. Because again, I don't think any of the characters are in that I can immediately think of. But I will take consultation on that one. What else we got? So, this is relevant. X-Men Origins Wolverine, rather than just The Wolverine. Very confusing. Far too many Wolverine films or Hugh Jackman films where he plays Wolverine in them. Because this has got Gambit in. So we got a new Gambit in this film that we've not seen before in his full X-Men 97 kind of outfit. Blue Sasquatch and Blue Harvest are playing together. It's sweet. Okay. But of course, X-Men Origins does have Deadpool in it. Now, I hadn't actually I don't think I completely realised. Is the Deadpool-esque character in X-Men Origins Wolverine, is he actually played by Ryan Reynolds? Or was Ryan Reynolds just a part of him? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, absolutely Deadpool. I fell asleep to X-Men movies and Wolverine. Is that in a cute I was little and I went to sleep watching them, or I fell asleep because I was bored way, Blue Sasquatch? Because I can read that either way. And of course, there's another Sabretooth in here. But that isn't the Sabretooth we got in this movie. We got the original X-Men Sabretooth, not this X-Men Sabretooth. So that's confusing as hell. When we got Gambit, I'm not even sure who's in the background on that. Oh, that's the persuasive mutant, isn't it? I think. Is it? Or is it? No, I'm confusing myself now. I mean, there are a lot of different versions of the same characters floating around, it has to be said. It's pretty confusing when all's said and done, isn't it? It really is. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, when did X-Men Origins even come out? I don't think my eyes are going to stretch to zooming in that far at this time of night. I've done far too many miles today to be able to do that. But obviously X-Men Origins came out after the original X-Men film, so I guess it is more recent. No sharks in the movie. It's still Ryan Reynolds. Okay. For some reason, the way that character was played, I always thought it was somebody else. The Deadpool character in X-Men Origins Wolverine. I don't know who else I thought it was, mind you, but anyway. Strange. I thought it was the, I can't even remember what his power was. There was one guy who was sort of quite a slight, small guy, and I thought it was him, but Deadpool originally has no voice in the comics. Interesting. Considering he's now known as the Merc with the Mouth, that is highly ironic. That's a good factoid, thank you for that. And of course, Deadpool, numero uno. I mean, you know, this was in and of itself absolutely hilarious. I had one of those sort of chats on that you don't expect to have at work with someone, basically telling her that yes, the film I've just seen is hilarious, but you will find it rude and extremely violent. And did I mention very rude? And she still apparently is going to she's put Deadpool on her Disney Plus watch list. So I said I claim no responsibility for your loss of innocence. That's all I'm saying to you. And then things got weird, from my point of view anyway, because never in a million years. And again, this is where I have to thank you guys again for not spoiling me. Then all of a sudden we have this guy turning up, and I was like, "What the hell? What's that?" And at first I couldn't figure out whether or not it was a CGI Snipes or a genuine Snipes, but maybe they de-aged him a bit or something. But apparently it is just Snipes, isn't it? As far as I'm aware. And he's got, you know, you can see him, he's using his weapons from these films and everything. So I mean, it's properly a callback to this. Now, of course, Ryan Reynolds was in a Blade film as well. That's the funny thing as well. It's a double take, because Ryan Reynolds has played many Marvel characters in the past, and I distinctly remember him being alongside, I can't remember her name now. What's her name? Jessica Biel, as a sort of the Blade Trinity team up, wasn't it? Yeah, Blade 3 with Reynolds in it. Yeah, absolutely. That's the one. This is Blade 2, of course. But yeah, just like bringing Blade into it, it's like, well, I did not see that coming. Literally did not see that coming. Nor indeed did I see this coming. I mean, how old is this film? And she got her own film afterwards. But like, it's like that's Jennifer Garner. It's like Elektra. You put Elektra in this. How did you pull Elektra out of this and put her in there? Because how old is this? How old is this Daredevil? And that was just insane to me. I couldn't believe that they'd actually gone so far back and pulled something that far back from a completely non-Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I had to laugh because, of course, we got Ben Affleck playing Daredevil. And yeah, that's Batman. But he was also Daredevil. So he's done cross-universe stuff as well. And now, of course, Henry Cavill has as well. So, I mean, it's like, you know, it's a little bit of history repeating itself. No. You're not Batman. He's Batman. Now, why have I got this? Because there was a Batman gag in the film where he says that when Wolverine finally pulls his face mask on so that he can go full CGI, did you notice that? he says that at least with his mask, although it makes him look like Batman, he can still move his neck. And I think one of the comments in this was that he wants to be able to move his head in the second film. So it's like, so you tied the Marvel Cinematic Universe to Batman now. So well played there, guys. Don't know how they managed to get away with that one. So yeah, that was my original Blade. So I mean, I've had that for donkey's years as well. I don't tend to throw stuff away. You may be getting that idea now, but I have a large DVD collection. And of course, back in the day when the Marvel Cinematic Universe wasn't a thing, anything that was vaguely Marvel and vaguely superhero-y, I grabbed because there wasn't that much of it back then. Emo Batman. And the other thing that made me laugh was this, because now there's also a tie-in to Star Trek. Because Deadpool does a Vulcan salute when he's when they're at the critical moment towards the end through the window, and that in and of itself, I actually thought that he was going to go full Star Trek 2: The Wrath of Khan at that point. Before he started pulling other little gags in the window, I actually thought he was going to do a Khan and Spock thing. Kirk and Spock, rather, but you know what I mean. So I was just like, what on earth? I mean, I think the only one that I can't think of, did they actually do Green Lantern at any point? I don't think they actually went that far, did they? But I just laughed because I had all this stuff in my collection, which basically, I've been cheated. I feel I've been cheated, quite frankly, because I've already got Deadpool and Wolverine in my collection. If I just mash up all those films together, I get Deadpool and Wolverine. So, I want my money back, basically. Star Trek goopy. Well, he's quite tolerant. He's quite tolerant. No matter what people say, he's quite tolerant. He has heard of Star Trek. So it's okay. It's okay. We'll get him back later. It's fine. So, Blue Sasquatch, have you seen the film? I know Blue Harvest has seen it at least twice. Haven't you, Mark? At least twice? Is that fair? I mean, I think my lad wants to go and see it on Sunday. I don't feel it's really a Sunday film, but anyway. Well, was he though? Is that, I suppose? I mean, Deadpool 2 seems to have done quite a lot of running around to do different bits, because he saved Shatterstar. In fact, he's probably saved a few people that then appear in his reality, but has he pulled them from his reality or another reality? We're not really clear, I think, on exactly how much power that wristband gave him. Twice so far. You're going to Toys R Us. How are you going to... Where is Toys R Us still alive? Huh? Well, see, that is exactly why, Blue, I was trying to watch it quite quickly, because I knew, sure as eggs were eggs, that I would start getting spoiled just by thumbnails. And in fact, I knew that X-23 was in it from something somewhere. And I think, in fairness, that might even have been in the trailer. So I think things in the trailer I almost definitely had seen. But other bits, obviously, they were very careful to keep out of the trailer. Toys R Us in York. You have 4 Toys R Us in your city, eh? Okay, interesting. I'm very confused by that. I thought the name was probably still active, but I didn't. Is it actually still trading in the US then, Toys R Us? I'm assuming that's where you are. Obviously, I don't really know, so. But I mean, I have to say, I've seldom have I laughed so hard. But when I came out of the film, I did think that actually things like Elektra and Blade, maybe even Gambit, a lot of the younger audience is just not going to get. Which I thought was brave of them to do, because it is almost an acknowledgement of, how old people like Reynolds and Jackman actually are. The fact that they've gone that far back into their early careers to actually do this film, to bring older people sort of into the MCU, actually give them something to watch the films for. That I thought was very clever. And of course, we haven't even touched... Now, I haven't touched on it because I haven't got the film on disc here. So I'm almost certain I don't have it in my collection. But of course, Fantastic Four, Chris Evans. Having Chris Evans as not the obvious Chris Evans, clever move. Very, very clever move. Fair dues to them. That's still crap. Oh, from Canada. Okay. Ah, interesting. Okay. Cool. Gotta go. All right. Enjoy your toy hunt. But it was what else? I loved Welsh Pool. Welsh Pool I thought was very, very cool. Never thought I'd see a Welsh flag on anyone's chest in an American movie. So thank you, Ryan. Brilliant. That was a nice touch. I thought that he'd gone that far and sort of done that little nod of the head to Wrexham, bless him. Because obviously he's got the ties there. But I just thought there was absolutely no necessity for him to do that, and he did it anyway. So that was lovely. So I mean, this has got to be one of those ones I get on Blu-ray, because I bet the extras reel and the bloopers reel and everything else is going to be absolutely hilarious. I mean, just the sheer number of stuff. But the other thing that I really liked about it, and this is where I think the Deadpool films have always been done very cleverly, is that every now and again you get that little pause where they do something more serious in the middle of it all. And Jackman did actually do some acting in this film, and as Reynolds has commented, he's probably got more lines in this film than in any other of his films based on around Wolverine going. Because, he actually has conversations with people from time to time in this film. Well, there's a Scouser there. But it's very, very cleverly balanced. And I love the fact that obviously Deadpool also turns to the audience at one point and goes, "Don't worry, we're nearly at the good stuff." Like he's conscious of the runtime and that people might be starting to sort of fade a bit, and he actually kind of pulls you back in actively by talking directly to the audience in that way that they do in Deadpool, of course. So again, I thought that was very, very cleverly done. There's just a lot of awareness, I think, of how much these characters actually mean to people and how they had to treat them with a degree of sensitivity. I mean, the scenes with Wolverine and Cassandra in that sort of graveyard scene, I mean, that was really, that was powerful, I thought. So I had to give them kudos there. That in the middle of all the mayhem, you do get these sort of moments where you sort of think, oh, actually, this is, I mean, that's good, That the Wrexham programmer has Mullins dressed up as Welsh Pool. Yeah, that figures. I think there was another guy in there as well. There's a guy right in the background in one of the bar scenes, apparently, who's also from Wrexham. So I think he definitely did his best to bring people in. But of course we've got Henry Cavill in there as well. So I mean, is there now speculation that he will be Wolverine? In the next generation of Wolverine films. I mean, it would make perfect sense. I mean, that's a multiversal crossover in and of itself, of course, given that he was previously Superman. But, that's, as we understand it, that's now not a thing anymore. So I guess he's free to pursue other options, including being a mutant with an adamantium skeleton. So, right up, I mean, that's got to be right in his ballpark, let's face it. Because I think he does seem to like this sort of stuff full stop in real life, because he's a big Warhammer fan. So I can imagine that he'll have no problem whatsoever playing Wolverine if that is actually a thing. But I don't know if that's just someone guessing that might be a thing rather than actually being confirmed. Because apparently they've got a new Blade coming. I didn't know they had a new Blade coming. You think it'll be Jackman? But tell me something though, Mark. How many of those shirtless scenes were actually Hugh Jackman this time, do you think? Because I don't think many of them were. Because if you noticed, a lot of them were him with his mask on, which means they could have body doubled it pretty easily, or CGI'd it easily. So I think that he's probably getting past the age where he can because I remember that in the past he's had to do an incredible amount of physical work to get into sort of a Wolverine shape. I mean, it's no mean feat, I don't think. But he's not as young as he was. He's been playing this character for 25 years. And, basically, he probably thought he was done at the end of Logan, let's face it. So I'm not at all convinced that they'll keep on using him. I get why they do it for box office purposes, obviously, but I'm not convinced that they'd actually sort of keep on using him in the sort of the traditional way, if you like. I just think he's not going to be up for it, I think, personally. But all that being said, I imagine that the gross for this film at the moment is ridiculous. It'll be a proper summer blockbuster take, and they must be already. They must be trying to think of a way to top it. But for me, I mean, I suppose they did. They did hint that Deadpool would return in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But could you repeat this in the same way, just pulling in random Marvel characters? I think the problem is they've been there and done that now. They'd have to do something different, surely. So I don't know. I mean, what we haven't had, I suppose, yet is a full-on X-Men movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, bringing in the Avengers. That I could obviously see them doing, because they've done that a ton of times in the comics. And now that they've bought 20th Century Fox, I think Marvel has all of the necessary... Well, Disney has all of the necessary components to make it work, given that they've got access to Spider-Man as well. That makes sense? I think they've got enough now, haven't they, to do it, if Sony play ball with them. And I can't imagine Sony wouldn't, because I mean, if they get any sort of cut of it, then they'll be laughing, won't they? So, yeah. Great film, though. I'm really, really glad that I made the effort to actually go and see it in a cinema. And yet, people were still walking out at the end. I was like, why would you now, in this day and age, go to a Marvel Cinematic Universe film with Deadpool in it and not stay until after the credits? I mean, come on, guys. You've seen one of these films before, right? You know this is not a thing you should be doing. It's like, I don't understand. Why would you leave? But anyway, people were. Then people were just heading off. It was bizarre. I genuinely couldn't understand why you would walk out before Deadpool had his last bit of say at the end. That seemed very random to me. So I don't really know where else. I mean, I'm not following. I have to admit, post Black Panther 2, I kind of lost touch with it a bit. I haven't seen the Moon Knight series. I think it is the Moon Knight, isn't he? Haven't seen that one. I haven't seen all of Ant-Man in the what do you call it? God, you can tell I'm tired, can't you? The Quantum Realm, Quantum Mania, whatever they called it. I'm just making stuff up now. I'm tired. But I haven't even seen that one yet. I'm not as keen to catch up on them as I have been in the past. But I actually think that maybe slowing it down and releasing fewer each year would be a better way for them to go, rather than overloading us. I think it's the sort of, it's the Disney Star Wars argument. It's like, don't keep throwing series at us. Us older people don't have the time to watch them necessarily. So give us a break from time to time, I don't know. But I mean, it's definitely well worth a cinema ticket, this one. There's no two ways about it. If you don't mind a bit of gore, go and get your cinema ticket and go and watch it. Because it is as funny as all heck. And if you've watched more than an average amount of previous Marvel-inspired films, you will get more than average out of it, clearly. You probably shouldn't be watching this video because it will have spoiled some things for you. So my apologies, but I did warn you in the title and at the beginning. So don't come crying to me. Right. On that note, I should probably get some rest because I really need to record some normal-ish videos for next week at some point. And I ain't doing it now because I'm shattered. So thank you for communing with me, Mark. That's appreciated. You'll be on tomorrow, won't you, Mark? You doing one of your lives tomorrow, Sunday night? I'll give you a moment. I assume you're still there. Talk amongst yourselves. Are you there, Mark? Well, Mark might be streaming on Sunday night. He hasn't told me one way or the other, or I haven't seen it. Anyway. Alright. Unless anyone else wishes to discuss anything else at this particular point in time, I will probably call it a night. If that's okay. Going once. Going twice. Live long and prosper. Ta-ra.